you're an interested party. I'm glad that that you put out that disclaimer amply. But you know, there were a lot of people who were concerned, perhaps rightly or wrongly, I don't know, when you were on the Federal Bank conference call and you seem to have signed off by saying "God bless," and people were interpreting interpreting that to mean that you know, you were signing off altogether.
Not at all, not at all. I don't know why people are interpreting all that. I mean, I have a habit. I always say God bless, right? You know, and I said, you know, they had some write-offs in the fourth quarter. So I was saying, God bless that we don't have these write-offs in the future quarters. And I personally feel the provisioning of Federal Bank has more or less peaked. So well provided for bank.
So would this be a sector then that you would, again, like pharma, look at with renewed confidence?
Absolutely. I'm extremely bullish on banks, especially those who are in trouble.
Including ICICI Bank?
Absolutely. ICICI Bank carries a lot of the characteristics of HDFC Bank. Their CASAs, their retail. It's the legacy which is the problem. That legacy, believe me, is going to get over in 1819. Don't expect anything in 1819, whatever these chairmen and directors and analysts tell you. 1819 is also a year of provisions. But there will be growth in profitability. And 1920 will be an absolute clean year, when 9 out of 10 banks will come back to normalized provisions. In the private sector, I don't know about the public sector.
And does this enthusiasm and confidence also then extrapolate itself to the NBFCs, which have already seen a significant run-up as far as valuations are concerned?
No, they're more than well valued, in my opinion.
So that's not exciting you?
That's not so exciting.
So you don't really see any enhanced value or opportunity there?
See, the valuations are, there are two ways, Shireen, you can gain in an investment. One is with earnings growth, but near multiple is earnings growth with valuation growth. So I think in NBFCs you may gain with earnings growth, but there's not going to be valuation growth. In all these banks which are in trouble, there's going to be both. Earnings will grow, and don't expect in 1819, 1920, 2021.
Because you believe that the provisioning process will continue at least for the next 2
1819
quarters.
will be over, it will be over.
Okay.
And then 1920 will be normalized provisions. And there'll be good growth. And why do you give HDFC Bank today 5 times book? Because of his ROE, and his growth. So ROE and ROA of other banks will go up, and slowly growth will also come. So I'm not saying there will be 5 times book, but surely I think good banks will be 2.5, 3 times book.
Let me then talk to you about another bet that you seem to be making, and that has to do with cases that are either in the NCLT or moving towards the NCLT. And you did say in the past that the NCLT is a wonderful thing, that the process itself needs to be refined. You know, where do you see that entire process today, and what excites you about the assets that are already in the NCLT and those that are likely to be headed that way?
What excites me most about NCLT is that it will improve credit discipline and integrity in this country. Because every entrepreneur will now be afraid that, you know, if somebody owes me 1 crore, a company, and I go to the NCLT, he's paying. But otherwise, even a person who owes 50 lakhs. So this will improve credit discipline in the country. Let us say there's a large company. It doesn't pay its suppliers right in time. Earlier, the banks used to accommodate the supplier. Now the banks won't accommodate the supplier. So what a supplier will tell the large company that either you pay me or I close down. So then he will pay in time. So this is going to improve the integrity and the credit discipline of the entire country. People are underestimating what the effect of the NCLT is going to be. People are, you know, project lagao, project is actual 2,000 crores, make it 2,700 crores, only put 600 crores of equity. So there is 1,000% return on your capital. All that's going to stop.
So one is the larger economic impact, where you believe it brings in...
The larger economic impact is more efficient use of assets.
Sure, and credit discipline. But what about these individual companies as well, where you seem to be putting your money?
Now?
Yeah.
I don't have any money, I'm fully invested.
But the likes of JP, etc., which the markets track what you're doing with these stocks very, very closely.
Well, see, Shane, I wouldn't like to comment on my individual, what I buy, why I buy. I don't even tell my wife, my only client. So let's leave that.
Okay, let me talk to you about the metal story, because again, that is a theme that you've bet on in a significant way. Given where we are, and you know, some of these steel assets that are going through the NCLT process, that's the only place where we are seeing a great degree of interest. Given where the commodity cycle today is this something that continues to look good to you?
See, I have put my bet basically on Tata Steel. I am extremely bullish. Because I feel Tata Steel in time will be as of today they are phased to be 22 million. 5 million in Bhushan, 8 million in Kalanagar, 13 and 11 million in Jamshedpur, full raw material backed by iron ore. So even in the darkest days, I don't think and they've got great value added. Bhushan also has got 1.6 million CR, right? So I don't see if steel prices were to come off, TISCO is going to earn in India a margin of less than 25 to 30,000 crores, right? And if prices remain where they are today, I think the EBITDAs could go to 35, 40 crores. So on an equity of 1,200 crores, even with a debt of say 75,000, right? It's easily serviceable. I think in the worst time it is 3 times cover. And Mr. Narendran points out again and again that you think steel prices are very high, but steel prices are only where they were in 2012-13, right? And a lot of capacity is not feasible below a certain price. So I'm very bullish on Tata Steel. That's the stock I bet on.
Let me talk about some of the other sectors that often are fragmented, continue to be fragmented, underpenetrated. Insurance is one of them, and you're making a big bet there as well.
Yeah, insurance. I'm making a bet. I'm trying to make a bet in health because I think health is a crying need. Today the biggest cause of rural and urban indebtedness is
out-of-pocket expenses.
And I don't think government can administer any scheme of any significance.
So you don't put too much weight behind this Ayushman Bharat program that's expected to be rolled out later the year.
Right, and I don't understand it because today if I go with a heart problem to JJ Hospital, the government does operate me. So I don't know, but I think, today at 12,000 rupees you can insure a family for 5 lakhs rupees. My peon, he can afford it easily, 1,000 rupees a month, right? And India has reached that per capita GDP level where a lot of discretionary spending on health and education. And don't forget, we have at least 20 to 30 crore Indians who are at $7,000-8,000 of per capita, who can eminently, afford health insurance. So I think it's an underpenetrated sector. It's going to grow at, in my opinion, rate of 20 to 30% for the next 10-15 years. Right, and it's a good area. So.
I don't know how much you want to publicly talk about your proposed investment or not, but let me hazard a chance here with that. What is the aspiration with this big insurance bet that you're making with Star Health?
Aspiration is to make money here. What else?
But are you actually going to be hands-on running it?
No, I don't be in here. My office is my office, I don't go anywhere. I've got a team, we will be doing it jointly. It already has a very good management team.
Are you looking at similar such opportunities where you could put in that kind of money and the aspiration is not merely an investment?
If I feel a risk is worth taking and I can afford the ability to be wrong, that even if I go wrong, my final stability will not be affected. I'll take a bet anytime.
Is there anything on the horizon which looks similar to the kind of bet that you're willing to make on insurance?
There are things on the horizon, but much smaller. I don't have that kind of money to put in so many other companies. And I'm looking at a lot of opportunities, but they're much smaller.
When do you expect closure on the insurance deal?
Who knows? Maybe this month, for first week of July, maybe.
But are you going to be getting your hands dirty with that venture? I mean, beyond just the money and putting the team together?
No, I cannot. See, my idea of life is strategy. My idea of life is not operations. So, and you can grow big in life with the effort of others. It depends on whom you choose and what freedom they have and what rewards they have. So I am hands up. I mean, I have no capability. Let's understand one thing. Let's not try to do just because we have money. Let's not try to do something for which we are not capable.
Okay, so since you're betting on health insurance, what about health delivery? Because the two are linked, and this is again an underserved, underpenetrated.
The health insurance is not a capital-intensive business. Health insurance is very capital-intensive until you break even. It's very difficult to break even. Once you break even, it's not capital intensive, it's a cash flow business. A hospital is a constant investment business, constant investment. So the return on capital there is, I bought Apollo Hospital, 5% of it in 1992. And I sold it for 20 times its value in 2000, right? But I find it's too capital intensive industry.
So you wouldn't be interested in the sector?
In general,
because there
I
are
won't be
also
interested.
questions on the business model and how the business model currently is
worldwide, it is
broken.
the same. Ma'am.
Yeah.
It's all these people who are shouting. When their relative goes to the ICU, what will they do? They'll sue the hospital or they'll treat the patient. This is the same worldwide. It's not only India.
So you can...
That regulatory, nothing's going to happen. People are going to keep shouting.
Well, you believe that it continues to be capital intensive, unlike the insurance business, which after a certain point does not require that kind of capital. But is this a sector that you would look at least some of the interesting opportunities? And I believe
I won't close my eyes to any opportunity. But I made my money in 92 to 2000.
So what is the Fortis bet about then?
I have a very small, I have 65 lakh shares. I have a small bet.
So that's just fun and games. Where else are you interested in fun and games, so to speak?
It's not fun and games, there's serious money. Even 65 lakh shares is 80-90 crores of rupees. But it's not a very big... And I don't want to go to areas where there's conflict.
Where there's conflict?
When they called me and I think someone from the Economic Times spoke to me. So I told them I only say two things. That a board appointed by shareholders who are no longer shareholders is going to decide who's going to take over the companies. That's blatantly unfair. That board has to be removed and you have to run a due process. But that's what they are doing today. That's the only comment I made at that time.